I would like to begin this video by saying that if you are interested in what I have to say, and if you believe that there is meaning and value and truth to be found in my ideas, I recommend that you should watch the videos that I put in the link down below. There are 3 videos about the phenomenology of the European mind and the European spirit to show you the path which has probably led you here. Because if you are watching this video, there's a likelihood that you have gone through the mental process of partly insanity, of going through the washing machine, so to speak. And also, on this channel, Cultural Hegelianism, there's a playlist titled Hyperborea, and I recommend that you watch all the videos, maybe several times if necessary. It's not because, how should I put it? If you think that what I have to teach you is valuable, as a Hegelian, Hegel's thought consists in showing that thought and intellectual development is a self-moving process, and in order to grasp anything about Hegel or cultural Hegelianism, as a matter of fact, you have to understand the process through which I am going through, which is a process in which you, whoever you are also involved, because you are watching this and you have probably watched some of my other videos, and it is probably the path of world consciousness which has brought you here. So if you just stumble upon one video and you spend 3 minutes listening to me, and then you skip because I look ugly, or because this is boring, or because my English is poor, or because this is not what you expect, you're not gonna find anything. If you really want to understand my word, I advise you to follow the whole process, and to reflect and to meditate upon your own experience, and to see what is confirmed by your own experience, what differs from, and you can build your own point of view by confronting your viewpoint with my point of view. And this is how we may enrich one another, if I might say so. Yeah. And also, you can follow me on the channel Eternal Light, because I am limited to 10 videos each day, and today I think that I have more things to say, and I have already published 9 videos, so I will publish on Eternal Light. And yeah, but the purpose of this video is to express or to comment on this book, Hegel and the Hermetic Tradition, for a pagan audience, those who do not have the time to read the book or to buy the book, or to explain them in broad outlines what it contains, and to show them the unity of paganism and Hegel's philosophy. And also, one thing that I must say out of honesty is that reason, and you will understand what reason is, there's a cunning of reason. Reason, which is my higher self, if you will, is using me, my passion as an empirical individual, to bring about its own purpose. That's what Hegel calls the cunning of reason, and that's why he says that nothing great in history has been achieved without passion. And as an empirical individual, I am passionate about Europe, which is a mixture of deep and profound love and kind of anger and hatred also. It's a bipolar relationship that I have with Europe. And reason is using me to achieve its own purpose. But yeah, I will do my best nonetheless. So my purpose is to show you the unity of the current revival of paganism, Hermeticism, Neoplatonism, and Hegel's philosophy, and cultural Hegelianism. Oh, how everything is interconnected. And the first idea that seems important to me to comment and to explain is that the author says that we must understand Hegel as a Hermetic thinker if we are to truly understand him at all. And an idea that I have understood in 2018 is that in order to understand Hegel, all the false interpretations of Hegel must be made. The past 200 years have seen false interpretations of Hegel or partial interpretation of Hegel, and people are fascinated by Hegel, and scholars are seeking to understand, and once an explanation has been used and exhausted and proved unsatisfactory or non-satisfactory, a new one emerges. And this is a very Hegelian process, and I understood that Hegel could be made fully intelligible and his philosophy could really become effective and actual once the false interpretation had been made. But because that is also very Hegelian, is that if the movement which leads to truth is made of all the errors, it means that the errors are no longer errors because they are moments of the coming of truth. So it is truth which retroactively makes the errors moments of truth. That's a very complex but a very important Hegelian idea. So this book represents a moment in the process of coming to understanding of Hegel. It is the moment when Hegel is tied and attached to all the occult doctrines, and one might find doctrines which have influenced paganism as well. That's why it's interesting in our situation. And yeah, it says that Hegel's philosophy follow a pattern that is typical of many forms of mystical or Hermetic philosophy. The Phenomenology represents an initial stage of purification, of raising the mind above the level of the sensory and the mundane, a preparation for the reception of wisdom. And if you are watching this video, if you have gone through what I call the phenomenology of the European spirit, your entire intellectual experience by discovering ideas and being confronted by currents of thoughts, by political ideologies, religious ideologies like paganism, is a part of the phenomenology of your own spirit, which is made manifest in different figures of consciousness, public figures, public intellectuals, writers, journalists, scholars, political leaders. And if you have been led here after having gone through the process, and if you have watched my videos that I have just recommended at the beginning of this video, you have gone through a purifying process. You have gone through a process of breaking away your illusions and of preparing you for the reception of true knowledge. And that's an alchemical process, but a Hegelian process, and also a pagan process, because the Thulean perspective, in his attempt to revive paganism, in his books, in his introductory books about paganism, he says that paganism is a system of tests, and that only the best can succeed in passing those tests. And if you are here, and if you understand the broad movement of consciousness which has led you there, it means that you are on the verge of becoming a successful pagan, because you have already passed many tests, and here you are about to receive not full knowledge, but the seed of knowledge. Yeah. So he says that the purpose is to receive the purpose of the phenomenology, which is not the book by Hegel. It is the process of your own consciousness. It is the movement of consciousness which is determined by the political, economic, demographic, cultural conditions at work in the modern West and in the world at large, and they bring about a certain state of mind, a certain mode of thought. And in the language of Spinoza, the connection and the order of things is identical with the connection and the order of ideas. So this state of being has made you go through the phenomenology of the European mind, and the purpose is to receive the true knowledge, which is the logic. And in Hegel's view, logic is the universal mind, what he calls the absolute idea, and the idea makes itself nature. So the nature, the world of time, space, matter, and energy, is a reflection, a mirror image of the eternal idea, and through the activity of man, practical and theoretical activity, nature is reintroduced, is brought back to the unity of its own thought. So it's a triadic movement which is illustrated in the pagan community by the three intertwined triangles, one flowing through the other. This is the Vaknut, and this is a symbol of Hegel's logic, not Hegel's logic, of Hegel's system. So yeah, the pagans are unconsciously fascinated and attracted by this symbol because they find it intriguing, but I am providing the meaning of the reason why they love this symbol, because it reflects their own essential nature. And yeah, it is man who rises above nature and who actualizes the divine or God within the world through the understanding of the logical forms. And I continue. The book says that Hegel was a representative of some Philosophia Germanica perennis, like a perennial, an eternal German philosophy, and there is within the pagan movement a deep love and interest for Germany and for the German spirit. And Hegel, according to the book, was a representative of Germanic thought. And yeah, and it says that the ideal of the Hermetic magus, the Hermetic magician, is to achieve total knowledge and to wield godlike powers to bring the world to perfection. And I continue because I have something else to say. The introduction of the first sentence of the book is, God is God only so far as he knows himself. His self-knowledge is, further, a self-consciousness in man, and man's knowledge of God, which proceeds to man's self-knowledge in God. The pagan gods, the European gods, which reason is trying to awaken through me, I could say the same thing about the European gods. The European gods are modes of the soul, of the psyche, and modes of logical ideas. So they are psychological determinations. And paganism claims that the gods, at least paganism in its revival, in its arising, in its rebirth in the scene of European culture, claims that the gods are not external entities, but that they can possess you. You can become enthusiastic, you can become possessed by the divine, and you can let the gods and goddesses become one with you. So I could translate, I could change the meaning of this sentence and say that the European gods, Odin, Thor, Freya, Apollo, Dionysos, Zeus, Jupiter, or you can name any god you want, Thor. The gods are gods only so far as they know themselves. And the gods, which are disposition or modes or faculties of the mind, and the mind exists in really living people. So you, whoever you are, you can become, it's not that you can, it's that you must become a European god or a European goddess by letting the divine possess you. And their self-knowledge is further a self-consciousness in man or woman, and man or woman, the European pagans' knowledge of the gods proceeds to the European pagans' self-knowledge in the gods. So in order to be possessed by the divine, by the gods, to acquire a powerful personality, you must go through a logical process, and you must understand logical ideas, and the God will be made manifest to you when the logical conditions are met, and when the stars align. And yeah, I will stop there for now. I continue my videos on the channel Eternal Light because I have many things to say today, and I will not sleep until I have done my job. So that was for the moment, and see you later.